Alright, fellas, let's drop the polite small talk for a second and get real. You know how you've been told for years that women want romance, security, or a man with money? Sure, that sounds nice in a Hallmark movie, but when it comes to actual attraction, that deep, magnetic, can't stop thinking about you pull, there's something else entirely going on. Something that turns on 99% of women, even if they never admit it out loud. And no, it's not six-pack abs, it's not a fat bank account, and it's not a magic pickup line you memorized from some dating forum. It's something far more primal. And when you master it, women will not only feel drawn to you, they'll wonder why they can't stop thinking about you. So listen carefully, because what I'm about to share is something most men completely misunderstand. And when you get it wrong, you give off creepy vibes without even realizing it. But when you get it right, she will chase you. The honest truth, even if it stinks. You all know I pride myself on giving you the honest truth about what women want versus what they say they want. Even if it's uncomfortable for me to say, and maybe even uncomfortable for you to hear, but I'll take one for the team because you deserve to hear it straight. And yes, if you're looking for real guidance in your dating life, you can work with me through the link in the description. Now, this whole thing about never taking advice from a fish that you see floating around online, cute. But let's be honest, most of those guys giving you that advice aren't dating high-quality women themselves. This video is for the grown men who want to master the psychology of attraction. If you want to stay stuck in guesswork, you can click away now. But if you want the pearls of wisdom most men will never hear, lean in. The most misunderstood part of attraction, pacing, and emotional connection. One of the biggest things I see men failing at again and again is understanding pacing. And no, I don't mean walking speed. I mean the pacing of how you escalate things with a woman, specifically how you create an emotional connection before escalating to the bedroom. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, here we go. Amelia's about to talk about romance novels and candlelit dinners. Hold on, because emotional connection doesn't only mean flowers and I love you. Yes, that's one form of it. But there's another kind of emotional connection that is just as powerful and far more dangerous if you know how to use it. The overlooked truth about connection. Emotional connection can be built entirely around sexual desire. And this is where most men get blindsided because they think sexual attraction is separate from emotional connection. Wrong. We see it all the time. A woman sleeps with a man right away, and later she says, different types of connection, don't know why I did that. I just felt a connection. That wasn't about his wallet. I coach clients who have millions of dollars and still can't court a woman properly. Money can open doors, sure, but it doesn't make her feel that pull. A woman can feel multiple types of connection with a man. One could be the safe and stable vibe. Another could be the fun and exciting vibe. And then there's the dangerous one. The one where you made her feel naughty, tingly, and maybe even a little vulnerable in the best possible way. You lowered her guard. You made her think thoughts she normally wouldn't dare say out loud, and now she's wondering what it would be like to cross that line with you. So, how do you create that kind of connection? First, understand that for a woman, just talking about sex can be sexy. Why? Because when she says something intimate out loud, and you respond in a confident, teasing, sexual arousal template non-judgmental way, she starts volleying that energy back and forth with you. She starts imagining doing those things with you. Her sexual arousal template, yes, that's a real thing, starts lighting up like a switchboard. You could tell her something you'd like to do to her in a subtle, teasing way. Ask her about something she's never tried but might be curious about. Or one of my favourites, what's one place you've always wanted to do it, but you've been too scared to get caught. That question, it plants an image in her mind instantly. Science break. There are studies showing that when you say the word sex, a man's arousal template lights up for the next 8 hours. He can't stop thinking about it until he takes care of himself. But here's the thing, men have an on-off switch. Women, we're different. Our attraction is a slow build and pacing is slow build. Pacing everything, the big mistake most men make. They get too direct, too explicit, too soon. And for us, that's an instant turn-off. It's the digital equivalent of sending an unsolicited D-pic. It's jarring, it's awkward, and it kills the mood. A real example of how men blow it and how to do it right. Let me paint you a picture. I was dating a very handsome man, tall, confident, well-dressed. All the surface-level boxes were checked. We were still in the early stages, that delicious, slightly mysterious, getting to know each other phase. And then, out of nowhere, he sends me a link to a website selling submissive and dom lingerie, chokers, chains, leather straps, the whole catalogue. He even tells me, "I've got a shopping cart ready for you." Now, was I killing the vibe intrigued by him? Yes. Did this move completely kill the vibe? Also, yes. Here's what was going through my head. "Excuse me, sir, can we maybe have dinner first? Can you start with a, 'Hey, how are you?' I was thinking about you before you hit me with the 50 Shades starter pack, because here's the unfiltered truth. The message that sends to a woman is, you're just a piece of ass and I want to do dirty things to you." Now, if a woman is already in that headspace with you, she might love that. But most women, they want a little ramp up. They want the tension to build. They want the movie to have a plot before the scene gets well heated. The better way. He could have played it now. If he had handled this with pacing and intrigue, I would have been totally into it. He could have started with something like, "I was mystery thinking about your favourite colour today, and I saw something you might like. Can't wait to show you next time I see you." That's mystery. That's intrigue. And you better believe I would have spent the rest of the day dying to know what it was. Even better, he could have snapped a small, cropped part of the picture, something that gives a hint but doesn't reveal the whole thing, and texted me. Guess what this is? Now, here's where psychology kicks in. When you give her just enough to spark curiosity, her mind will fill in the blanks with her own fantasies, and her fantasies will almost always be better than anything you could have sent outright. Emily Nagoski, a sexual researcher, says women need to see a situation as erotic in order to feel aroused. For men, it's an instant on-off switch. For us, it's a slow burn build-up that gets hotter the more our imagination works. Why? High subtlety wins every time. Pacing, mystery, intrigue. Those are the keys that make a woman want to get physical with you. When you want to connect with a woman on that level, innuendo and suggestion will get you much further than jumping straight into the explicit. If you can hint at something sexual and make her picture it in her mind without spelling it out, you'll hook her attention and her desire. Playful teasing examples you can steal. If she compliments you, maybe your shirt, your cologne, or gives you a flirty side eye, you can turn that moment into a subtle spark by saying, "Are you hitting on me right now?" "Calm down, we're in public, just wait till we get home." "I knew you had a naughty side just waiting to come out. Notice something?" None of those are graphic, but they plant an idea and let her imagination run wild. Questions that heat things up without crossing the line. Wild questions. Asking slightly risky but not over-the-top sexual questions can create massive attraction. Have you ever been skinny dipping? What do you think about public displays of affection? If no one was around, where's one place you'd actually consider doing it? Here's the key. You're asking in general, you're not saying you and her, and that creates safety. What happens next is almost always the same. If she's interested, she'll start leaning into the conversation. She'll open up. She might even escalate for you. How subtle sexuality builds deep emotional attraction. Let's circle back to what I said earlier about emotional connection. Most guys think of it as sharing feelings, talking about childhood memories or being romantic. That's one form. But here's the deeper truth. When you introduce sexuality into the conversation with subtlety, pacing, and curiosity, your emotional connection actually building a very specific kind of emotional connection, one that's linked directly to sexual tension. This isn't about jumping straight to the bedroom. It's about creating a space where she feels safe enough to express her desires, excited enough to imagine things with you, curious enough to want more. When you get a woman imagining herself in sensual, intimate situations with you without ever saying, "Let's have sex," she starts associating those feelings with you naturally. And that association is powerful. Here's the secret most men miss. If she participates in those conversations willingly, if she teases back, answers your playful questions, or starts escalating the topic herself, she's showing you she's already thinking of you in that way. It's not about forcing attraction. It's about revealing it. Why women's romance novels are the ultimate seduction blueprint. If you've never picked up a women's romance novel, do it. Seriously, it'll be the best $5 you slow burn ever spend. Why? Because they're all about words and imagination. You'll notice something. The story always starts slow. There's a meeting, there's tension, there's longing glances, maybe a brush of the hand that lasts a little too long. And then the build. The sexual tension gradually increases, but it's often implied at first, hinted at in subtle ways before it ever becomes explicit. And when it finally does become direct, it's explosive. Now, compare that to most men's idea of seduction, porn. Two strangers meet, barely exchange a sentence, and 30 seconds later, they're in bed. That works for you because you have an instant on-off switch for arousal. But for us, that's unrealistic. We need the slow burn, the anticipation, the mental foreplay, how to create the tipping point. When you pace things right, teasing, hinting, and letting her, the tipping point imagination, do the heavy lifting, you reach a point where her desire tips over. At that moment, she's not only willing, she's eager. And here's the best part. If you've built it right, she'll feel like it was her idea, that she's the one who crossed the line. That's the magic. You let her want it. Your takeaway. Use your words. Use her imagination. Don't rush the moment. Build it. Because when you do, you'll discover that the no one thing that turns on 99% of women isn't looks, isn't money, isn't some cheesy pickup line. It's your ability to plant the seed of desire in her mind and let it grow until she can't resist acting on it. If this gave you a new perspective on how to pace attraction, hit that like button. Subscribe to Dark Psychology so you never miss the deeper truths about relationships, attraction, and human behavior. And in the comments, tell me what's one subtle line you've used before that got an amazing reaction. I'm Amelia, and I'll see you in the next one.